Excuse me, Spider-Man, would you mind if I quickly had sex with your ship?
In a sea of endless faces, and my mind's in different places. I just wanna be with you. You make me tremble.
We're now here inside where the refineries were that I showed last time, and Sal's here. Hello, Sal.
Hello.
You're in the blue
Yeah.
ship, right? There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if I was looking at you or not.
Sorry. I was just staying comfortable.
Yep. I these stairs here. That's what happens when I think about doing something sort of remotely complicated, like a conveyor system. And then I decide, no, I'd rather do something aesthetic. So I did that instead. So the conveyor system hasn't really progressed, which is why Sal's here, to make sure that I do it. Because that's what you want. You want storage containers.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't realised quite how desperate I was for storage containers actually until recently.
Yeah, and if you don't force me, I'll keep building, erections on buildings and stuff. So we need storage containers.
Yeah, because we are quite wealthy, but our wealth is all up there in the sky in exposed storage containers. So we just need to hide it from the NPCs.
Yeah, because we're right in range for those ships. They
Yep.
fly past every now and then.
hmm
Do you know how these effectiveness and productivity modules work?
I do.
Because I saw them in an update video a little while ago, and then I just found them in the G menu again. And
Okay.
all I knew is that you connect them to stuff, and it makes them better. So I just added them all over the back of everything.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me come see then. I was going to say come and have a look at my big ship because I've got them on the big ship. Do you want to see a demonstration or shall I just fix what you've done?
Well, I guess the demonstration can't hurt.
You might have done it right. I don't know. Oops. Right. Let's. Yeah, it would be
I
good
see that
to weld some of that stuff up because we're getting a bit of frame stuff over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what you want is 4 of the. Hang on, let me remember which one. The effectiveness modules, and only the effectiveness modules on the refineries. So that means that you get more material out of your raw ore than if you just refined it alone. So if we put platinum ore in here, you would get 200% more refined platinum than if we stick it in the ugly barry.
Okay, and that's useful for bragging.
No,
So-
it's useful because that way you don't need quite so much raw material to end up with
Yeah,
the same amount of finished material.
that's not my job. I'm guessing I might not have a housemate for life.
Right. Okay. This one may be of more interest to you then. If you come and have a look at these assemblers over here.
Yep.
Here we have the productivity modules. Now, the effectiveness modules don't do anything on assemblers, just the productivities. That means that they make stuff faster. And if you stand assemblers end on end, you can actually get 4 of them. You put the assemblers vertical and the modules horizontal, crossing 2 assemblers. But it only works where they're side by side. But of course, you don't lose anything by not having the maximum. Unlike with the refiners, where you do, if your job is to mine stuff and get resources.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Okay. So what I've done
Unbelievable.
is I've put the
Uh-huh.
productivity and the effectiveness on a refinery, sort of
Uh-huh.
just one, both
Okay.
of them on the one.
Right. Well,
I just thought I'd hedge my bets. One of them worked, so
let's go change that because they do both work on the refinery. It just means it will refine faster, but it will refine less.
yeah.
So,
And we don't really need them to be fast. So effectiveness, remove the
mhm,
productivity. Right. They're
yeah.
just in two rows. So productivity, effectiveness, productivity, effectiveness.
Okay. I have them on my toolbar already.
I
Okay.
just realized Nordic named the postman Pat Van wrong.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I'm going to have to change that. So,
Oh, for my viewers, look at that. Isn't that spectacular? The post office fan.
uh, it's, yeah, right now it's the best thing on the server. I'll share that with all because everyone should be able to use it.
Hmm.
And name changed. That's better.
Okay.
And I hope everyone is still playing the theme song.
Oh, we have to have it looped the entire time?
Yep.
Gosh.
That YouTube doesn't have that built in, do they? You
Um,
can't loop
yes, you
automatically.
can.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
you
I don't
can.
watch YouTube.
Except my videos, of course, Boris.
Yes, of course.
Very good. Oh, damn, I've just put that in the wrong place. Um, I'm not quite as good as you at working without my hood up yet, but I'm getting there.
And these ones, no, these are, oh no, they're productivity. Oh, hang on. I was supposed to put effectiveness, wasn't I?
It's
I just put
effectiveness.
productivity back down.
Yeah, effectiveness goes on the refineries. Productivity on the assemblers.
Okay, I don't have the assemblers set up yet.
Okay. I say the assemblers are less important and the productivity is less important.
But I guess with plenty of assemblers in cooperative mode and the productivity on them,
Hmm.
it might be feasible to have things constantly disassembled then. So that way, I don't know. The one thing that I really get annoyed with when building things is, which is why I tend to scaffold everything, is just not knowing what you need for each thing. So having to count out, exactly this and exactly that.
Yeah.
It's very fiddly.
Hmm.
It would be nice to have like an inventory update,
Hmm.
something. Because I've seen other games do it. I can't think of any examples at the moment, but so if you click what you want, then it'll just pull exactly what you want out of the inventory. So you don't have to
Ah,
sit there and count out, 16 of these and
yeah.
8 of these and then try and multiply in your head by the amount that you want.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I wanted to disassemble everything. So that way I click what I want and then it appears in the cargo container.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, because
Yes.
my little grabber pack thing that my system that I'd developed, which you were so disparaging of the other day. When you looked inside the Ugly Barry's cargo and said, "It's a mess. I'm sorry." I was like,
Well, I need to go there now anyway, so I'll show it. Well, I think you
yeah.
moved it back, didn't you?
No, no, I haven't touched it. I did
Oh, there.
say
Yep.
that, yeah, I don't mind. You're welcome to, because when I set that up, you only had a handful of things in there, and I'd been dumping all kinds of. There was ores and
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was in a real mess, a proper mess. So so I thought, well, I best tidy this up because if Boris sees this, he's going to kick me out. So, so I thought I'd best do something about tidying it up. So I just arranged it into my system, which, because the first time that Anubis saw one of my cargo containers in its disorganized state, where I had sort of little handfuls of things, but completely disorganized, he went into a sort of twitch. We were streaming, and his screen started shaking because his mouse was twitching. And I thought, yeah, Boris isn't going to like this. I best fix it before he comes on board. So I just sort of organised it a bit. But it does mean that you can go in there and you grab sort of a handful of plates and a handful of construction components, and you can get usually about 6 or 7 different types of components, and it'll be as many as you need for most things. That's sort of just my way of handling that situation. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I do manually, so it makes sense. Like, I sort of carry around 200 steel plates and 200 interior plates with me everywhere.
Yeah.
And a few construction components. That's how I do all the scaffolding.
Okay. I shall just get welding some of this stuff, shall I?
Yeah, why not?
So that way I can, because I'm not as used to working with scaffolding, so I'm not entirely sure I can tell exactly what everything is.
Yep.
And as soon as we've got a little bit of form, because they don't need to be finished, but if I can see what things are, then I've got a better chance of helping out with the conveyor system.
Well, I discovered a good thing with these interior plates, just the interior walls. I've tried to keep the what I use them for down because the poly count on them is pretty bad, so they're quite laggy. But yeah, they've got this nice cross, like the ones just to your left. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Yeah, down the middle. If you sort of weld them up, yeah, roughly halfway, they've got this nice cross to them. So I might use that. Maybe it's like a wall decoration every now and then. It's the same with the another aesthetic tip. The catwalks without any railings. If you don't weld them up and just place them, they're just bars, steel bars.
Oh right.
Yeah, so that's useful for aesthetic things. Is it the Anubis and I actually, we spent about, it must have been about half an hour when we should have been recording something, because we sort of stumbled across the the fact that there's sort of 3 times as many models in the game as you think there are, because you know each model has the various different build stages.
Yeah.
And the scaffoldings sometimes look all right, so you can use them for aesthetic builds rather than building them all the way. I did that on the erection. I can bring that out and show that now, since I'm flying around and not doing anything as I usually do when recording, because I forget that I'm supposed to be building something. I just gotta wait for it to open up.
Yeah, well, as I've mentioned before, your erection is most magnificent.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I knew that already, but...
But it's always nice to be told.
Yeah.
I may over-weld something here that you didn't really want welding.
Everything in there is just for... Yep.
Okay.
Yes, the air vent... not the air vent, what are they called? I think they're like a window, vertical window. Which isn't actually made of glass. That's before they added glass. They added these things. They look like a vent, kind of. But if you weld them halfway, then instead of the vent, they're just these lines, which I occasionally use to look kind of like a flat scaffolding piece. So I wanted a scaffolding look to holding that the erection up, so I only half welded them. The only problem is that you can't colour something that's in a scaffolding phase. So you have to go with grey. just shut that up.
Okay.
Right, I should be building something.
Okay. I have been mostly just focusing on welding up the refineries because they're a difficult thing to weld by hand.
Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of pieces, and I think you have to go back a couple of times, even with the huge inventories that we have, the 10 times inventories. We have thought about doing a hardcore series. Anubis and I, like trying to survive with one by one. Because it completely changes the game, the different settings. Because it's actually hard.
Yeah.
Having to manage everything, and you have to store a lot and do a lot of maths in your head pretty quickly. Which means that we're probably going to be horrible at it. Anubis will be good at it, but I don't know how. He'll probably just banish me to go live by myself.
That was how I played Space Engineers before I started YouTubing.
Yep. Yes, same. Until I realised that for YouTube purposes, it's but the reason that that this server's on the 10 by 10 by 10 is simply because if you this is a YouTubing server, and this part of the reason why we split the public and the YouTubing stuff apart is that if you want a server that's not as is part of the problem with having too much stuff in a world, like we're quickly going to get in this server, but we'll see if we can manage it well. But it's different with a public server as well, where you'd have someone log in and play for a day, especially on the land of Nidd, which was very kind. Like, there are a lot of very nice people, just no one fighting and stealing. There was a little bit here and there because it was a public server, but compared to other ones, no one would touch anything of anyone else's, which means someone, the sort of person who will sort of stop by for a day and play for a little while and then never come back, it means their 6 hours of work just stay forever. So even if you have a fairly small regular player base, very quickly the server gets overloaded and there's so much stuff just floating around.
Yeah.
But yet part of the way to combat that is to have lower settings so that it takes longer for people to build stuff, and people they, like in this world, if we crash a ship and we've got a shipbuilding yard like Nordic does, it can take even 30 seconds to rebuild that ship from scratch. But if it's on lower settings, then people cherish their builds a little bit more. It becomes a lot more important to not crash your ship. Yeah, of course, without bringing it too far down. But yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. This server's on such high settings because if you, like for example, that connector that I just built up there, the erection, with these settings I can say, that'll be done next episode and be able to do that, like feasibly have enough time to do that. But if we didn't, then it would drag on for 10 episodes later. I have just placed the connector on top, kind of thing. It becomes a very slow process and quite boring to watch. Same with like Merry Friends. If we were on slow settings, then the 3-hour recording session we had would be equivalent to 1 half-hour session on the higher settings. But yeah, we still wanted to try the hardcore version just for something different, to see if we could do it, because we have gotten rather spoiled. Especially now when I have when we have our little team. You do the stuff that you like doing, and I do the stuff that I like doing.
Yeah,
We-
yeah.
Yeah. And I never have to actually go out and work. I just get
Mine.
to play with whatever turns up.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean it does work well for me because yeah, I could never build anything that looked like this. Every base that I've ever built has looked like a combination between an oil refinery and an oil rig.
If that's the aesthetic you're going for, then
Mm. Not specifically intentionally. It's just machines piped to machines piped to machines, all on a flat platform.
yep, it works.
Yeah, it functions. That's it. I can do that. I can make things function. What are we missing here? Let's see. Metal grid.
I think that will be all for this episode, though. So we'll
Okay.
continue with this, and I might actually do some conveyor work if I stop procrastinating. Because if you look to your left, that's what I've done. I've built a floor.
Oh, so you have. Right.
I was supposed to be doing a conveyor system.
Come on, I'll help you with the conveyor system. In the next episode.
Yep. So
Do you
goodbye.
see what I did there?
Yeah. That's a very good link.
Very good. Thank you. Bye bye.